This video I'm going to show you the best free-to-play game that's like Battlefield. First we'll go over what's good about the game, and then we're going to get into some of the bad stuff. Stuff that may turn you off from playing the game, so don't forget to subscribe and we'll get right into it. So you're probably wondering which game it is. Well, it's called Enlisted and it's available on the PC, PS5, and Xbox. It has crossplay enabled by default. The game centers around campaigns, with each campaign having their own unique maps. Within these campaigns, you have two sides. You have the Allies and the Axis. The game's setting takes place in World War II, and since each campaign takes place in a slightly different time period, you'll see a different look to the squads, the guns, and the vehicles. You can unlock new squads by playing or by paying, which we'll get into that shortly. And the members of the squads are upgradable, so you can get different perks to members, which can lead to different bonuses. Before you start a game, you have a loadout which allows you to pick 4 squads for each side, and you can also unlock additional slots, of course, again, by paying. You're probably seeing where I'm going with this already, but hold on, I promise I'll talk about it a little bit more later in the video. These squads are important because they are what gives you access to different guns and different vehicles, and when you die or you're downed, you actually switch to one of those squad members, essentially giving you a quick way to get back into the battle, assuming they haven't already been killed. Now when your whole squad dies, that squad goes into a cooldown and you pick another squad from your loadout. You won't have to worry about running out of squads though. Even with only the 4 base slots you are given, you'll always have a squad up. There's 2 matchmaking modes, Squads and Lone Wolf. Squads is the main mode and pretty fun even though it relies on bots. The bots basically play your other squad mates while they follow you around. You can also give them orders to defend a certain point or to help revive you if you're downed. Also, if you're down, you can just switch to other members of your squad if you choose to do that. This mode feels well designed with one main problem which I'll discuss in a bit. The other mode is Lone Wolf, which means players don't have a full squad with them, although they can still choose soldiers from it to get their guns and their perks. If you die on a squad member, then it's game over for that member of the squad, and you can't use them for the rest of the match. The UI is also limited, so you can't really see much. This is supposed to make the game a lot closer to a realistic scenario, and I feel that some people will enjoy it for what it is. So let's get into the good things about the game. The map design is where the game shines, in my opinion. There are plenty of buildings, trenches, bunkers, all of which you use to siege and defend points, which makes the game a lot of fun. The game feels fluid, and you have multiple ways to tackle objectives, which makes defending a lot more interesting. The scenery of the maps is great, and they've balanced it out so a lot of the things are destructible and it doesn't actually get into the way of the actual gameplay. My personal favorite is the Invasion of Normandy. I just really like the maps in that one. I think a lot of the other players enjoy the Moscow campaign, but I encourage you to try them all. Most of the maps are really solid in my opinion. Another good point of the game is that they got the damage just right. Weapons feel impactful but not overpowered. Of course there are some vehicles and weapons that are better than others because that's kind of how unlockables typically work. But all in all, the game feels solid in terms of balance. The realism of the game is awesome. For instance, bombs land near you, you'll definitely feel it, your ears will ring, your movement changes, and you'll shit your pants. The gun's reloading and handling is also more realistic than your typical Battlefield style game, which goes along with the damage I kinda already discussed earlier. Although I'm not seasoned on how tanks and planes should act in real life because I already have a tough enough time driving my own car, if I had to imagine, this is much closer to the real thing than your typical Battlefield game. Tanks have different viewpoints and do take some time to learn how to control. They are also a huge threat in battles, so you'll need to prioritize taking them down first. If not, they could really do some damage. The way the damage is done, the vehicles, your environment, the controls, the game just feels like you're closer to a real Battlefield than Battlefield itself. Planes can also have a small learning curve. On one map I really wanted to grab some footage of a plane, but I didn't have the squad unlocked yet, so I took the liberty to try to steal one myself from the runway, and as you can see, I still have a lot of learning to do. Thankfully, when you do unlock planes, you start in the air. While they're fun at first, the bombers quickly become repetitive. Basically, you spawn, fly to a point, bomb, fly back to your mom's house, get some more ammo, and repeat. You can't really expect too much out of bombers because that's kind of their function. Now, I'd imagine having dogfighters in the mix kind of adds some more dynamics to it, but yeah, fuck bombers. They're strong, but they're boring. So with that said, let's get into some of the bad things about the game. Leveling can take quite some time if you're the type of person that would rather have all the squads and vehicles unlocked from the get-go. this may not be the game for you. You have to do a separate grind for each campaign, which means starting a new campaign can kind of feel like starting from the bottom all over again. You do have the option of unlocking everything for the low price of $60. At that point, you could just buy a better game in my opinion, but who am I to judge? I feel like the main pay to win about this game is that you can only have 4 squads in your loadout, and you can only have 1 vehicle in your loadout at a time. Of course, you can pay, but having access to squads is important because certain situations call for certain weapons or vehicles, and having a lot of squads in your loadout will only benefit you. Another problem with the game is that the AI can just be downright awful, and sometimes they'll all stand around chanting Kumbaya, even though you just tossed a grenade inches from their feet. Other times they'll turn into the Terminator, and you just feel like your only option is to go back in time and stop whoever made this monster AI in the first place. Oh yeah, did I say the maps were great? They are on squad mode, but Lone Wolf feels exactly that, lonely. I'm not sure if it was a lazy design decision, but you could spend a minute running from spawn to an objective without seeing a hint of life, only to get shot in the back and have to start all over again. How do I know? 'Cause that shit happened to me, and yeah, it was pretty salty. So with the realism that the game brings, there's also going to be the downside of slower gameplay, especially when you're comparing it to Battlefield. Are you going to get a game that you'll pour hundreds of hours into? Probably not. Is it a solid free-to-play replacement for Battlefield? I'd say yes. It's a ton of fun. While it certainly has its problems, it also has redeeming qualities as well. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and as always, if you don't, then I hope you have a good day.
Filthy rat!